What's up, creepers and geekers? Chris, the Atari Creep. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to the Milieu Macabre, where we're going to start yet another project. I know what you're thinking. I know what you... The hell out of my shot string. I know what you're thinking. But Chris, you have so many projects you haven't even finished yet. Some you barely even started. It's the way it is, guys. I'm sorry. I'm a 90%er. What can I say? But this is a special one. This is fun. And it's interesting. I'm really excited to jump in on this one. So here on YouTube, I follow a channel called Monster Tutorials. Link will be down in the show notes. Really cool guy, very creative. It's a Halloween prop, budget-friendly tutorial site where he makes a lot of really cool Halloween-themed items for, in some cases, next to nothing, but fairly cheap and very accessible to the average person. Now, you all know I'm a prop maker, but I love making budget props. I like making dollar store props. I love making stuff out of junk. Not because I'm always broke, because, well, I am, but because I love the challenge of it. And it just so happens he has a challenge Facebook group called the Monster Tutorial Prop Challenge Group. And this month, I guess it's kind of like part July and August, they're doing a creepy baby doll challenge. So I have signed up and I've joined in. I've already gotten started on it, but because they're so focused on the cost of this thing, it has to be under $20 total. We're talking about materials. They're talking about basically anything you use for this except for tools, I'm assuming. You have to keep it under $20. So I got started. I hit kind of one of those, where am I going to go from here? And so I figured I would document it. I'm going to do it in picture form for the group as well. But for my personal and for any skepticism as far as costs and all that stuff, I figure I document it here as well. And I will share this video with the group, though none of you are obligated at all to follow me or subscribe to me. I'm not fishing for that kind of thing. I just want to add this to my entry. So let me show you what we got so far, and I'll show you what I've been using so far, and we'll break down the cost as of now. All right, guys, so here's the project and everything I've used so far as it stands right now. The baby doll started off from a yard sale. The lady wanted $1. I got it down to 50 cents. Yeah, I'm that cheap. I'll put a picture of it up right here as to what it looked like before I started messing with it. As far as the skull is concerned, this is a mold I made, oh God, a while ago, of a skull I got for $1 at Five Below. Last Halloween, they had a whole bunch of those typical... It's a plastic, cheap Chinese skull with the black gauze hanging from it and a wire armature with the two skeletal hands. I used that skull for a different project, but before I did, I took a mold of it using this amazing mold putty I got at Michael's. With a coupon, I got it for about 15 bucks. Again, rounding up. I think it's normally $19.99 plus tax, but I'm going to say 15 bucks I paid for it. I'm going to estimate about $2 worth of molding putty. Doesn't take much. It's 2 parts that you just squish together, jam it on top of something that you want to mold, and that's all there is to it. 5 or 10 minutes later, you got a nice squishy mold. And I'm glad I did make a mold of it, because this one, just look how perfect it lined up. I mean, there was a slight bit of manipulation, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. As far as what the skull is made out of, I use this Alumilite resin. Casting resin for a lot of stuff. It's about 17 and change, we'll say 18 bucks for 2 parts, and it's 8 ounces. I literally used half a cap of each part, so we'll say 1 cap, we'll call it an ounce. So I got that at about 2 1/4 amount of resin that I just kind of slush casted in here. And when you pull castings, they're still a little pliable. So I was able to put the skull on here, line it up with the face, and then just kind of mold it down to it. I actually used a rubber band to hold it. And then once it was completely cured, I just used some super glue to hold it down. And then I started using this milliput here. You can see in some spots that green. Not much has been used so far, but I got this for just under $8 online. I still have the online receipt for that, so I can show proof of that, which I will do. I'm going to estimate, and we're not going to say for sure yet, because I don't know how much of this I will use. But I'm going to estimate about $1 worth, and that's way overshooting. Because I'm literally just going to use it to blend in the seams a little bit better. Maybe add little bumps here and there to it to make it a creature. I really don't know where we're going to go with him just yet. So that's where it stands right now. I have it at about $6.75, almost $7. And from here, it's really just going to be about paints. Most paints I paid $1 a tube for. So I may use 5-10 cents worth of paint from each tube. So far we're on budget, we're on track. I just need to figure out where I want to go from here. That's all. So I just picked up one of these robot toys from the Dollar Tree. Coincidentally, their Halloween stuff is not completely out, but they have like a small little rack of it. It's pretty cool. I was happy to see that. But it comes in a little package like this. And if you recall back to my Grave Boy, I used these legs and these hands. This weapon comes out. And a number of other props used parts from the other. I've only purchased one of these before. And a lot of parts came off of these to do a couple things. A lightsaber I made, that Freddy diorama I made, part of the boiler has parts from this guy. Yeah, and I still have plenty of parts left from the last one I bought. But I bought this because the legs and the arms are somewhat proportioned. So maybe what I could do is cut the arms off here and kind of fit these in there and make it look like the skin's ripped off. And then just do some skinning around the edge like the face was peeled off of this, and then paint this black and then do a dry brushing of silver, and maybe even a little bit of a brass look for like the teeth or something like that. I don't know. But kind of make it look like Arnold Schwarzenegger at the end of every Terminator flick. Still toying with it. If not, I can always put this guy aside because these little robot toys, like I said, it's been invaluable to a couple of props. Plus, it's a cool little robot toy. I mean, come on. Who doesn't like robot toys? So let me see what I do with that and if I do anything at all. So in proportions of the baby itself, the leg's going to work fine. Now that felt weird to do. All right, so the legs are on. Don't mind the mess. I ended up having to use a little hot glue to get it into the sockets. And once I'm done with the hot glue, we'll add that to the total here. I'll subtract the cost of how many sticks versus the bag. You know the drill, but I guess we're going to go Cyborg Spectre. Creepy thing. I don't know. I think that looks pretty cool. I glued the legs in a little bit crooked. so he's a little cockeyed, but I think that works. I think that works just fine. Normally it would bug me, but not on this guy. All right, so now before I start thinking about actual finish, paint and all that stuff, I want to blend the skull into the head. I want it to look like the flesh was torn off of the skull itself. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of milliput. It's not going to take very much. It's just a two-part epoxy putty. Nothing different than you can get at local Home Depot here. I just happen to have this brand because I wanted to try it out. But yeah, you can get the Loctite makes one. You can just get plumber's epoxy. Though that stuff sets real quick. This actually gives you a little bit of time to play with, and that's why I picked this brand up. I'm just going to put a real thin bead around the edge. And use a toothpick and some water to blend it into the skull itself. And then lift up the edges. So it gives it that appearance of torn flesh. Then afterwards I can sand and blend it into the head better. Like I said, it doesn't take much. So I get the basic idea there. The way milliput works really well is if you apply it in a general idea of what you're looking for. Let it sit for about an hour or so. It'll become more workable. It'll firm up just enough, but not to the point where you can't manipulate it anymore. So I'm going to leave it be for about an hour, then I'm going to blend it a little bit more, determine whether or not I need a little bit more, and then just raise the edges. So again, it looks like flesh being pulled away. Okay, so we get some black paint on the plastic parts, the added parts, I should say, and then I added a coat of this. This will do a couple things. One, it'll protect it because the paint will want to chip off the plastic like it kind of did there, but I can work around that. But it also gives it a shiny surface for when I dry brush the metal colors, silver, maybe a brass color. Not only will it look a little bit better, but it'll keep the black from chipping off. So I used pennies worth of this stuff. All right, so we got a bit of a metal look to the parts that need to look metal. And sorry about the harsh lighting. I wish maybe I'll put a picture up in natural lighting so you can see what it looks like more. But there it is. One of the cool things that clear does, besides protecting your paint job, a lot of times when you want a really good metal effect, a chrome effect, and you just use a spray paint, as long as you use a glossy something and then you mist on whatever silver or metal paint, something about it going over gloss will help it. And that's why I use the gloss varnish on the acrylics. But I do have a small secret weapon as to how I make things look metallic. A lot of people like to use a stiff brush, a nice chip brush, and they do a dry brushing over it, which means, you know, you put paint on the brush and you remove as much of it as possible, and then you kind of just like drag the brush over. I like to use these cheap, real soft brushes. I mean, I do the other kind, especially on larger props. But on something small like this, I get these real soft brushes. See how it kind of fans out like that? And I don't even use a lot of paint. I mean, of course, you're not supposed to by technique. But I'll just shake the bottle up, and just whatever's on the top of the cap once you take it off is more than enough. And instead of dragging it across, which I will in a few spots, but I stipple it on. And I think it just gives it more of a natural look to it. And then once I'm done with that, I want to give it a little texture, maybe like a rust look. A lot of people would break out their browns and oranges. Get yourself some of this brick red from Craftsmart. I don't know if the other brands have brick red, but this is the one I've been using for years. And you want to talk about minimal paint, put barely any. If you look here, I wiped all the paint. First, I'll do this, and I'll even roll the edges off of it. And this is where I very strictly stipple where I want. You're going to have to do this a couple of times. But you use pennies worth of paint, and if you do it just right to your taste, the results are phenomenal. So I'm really happy with that. So once that's completely dry, I'm going to give it a little bit of time, even though it is still dry at the touch. I'm going to hit it probably with a matte varnish. Same brand and everything, just a matte version of it. And then we're going to move on to maybe just weathering the baby. And I still have to blend this clay into the skin. So I do have a skin color that I'm probably going to try to blend out. And we might do a bit of a red and a pink wash just to flesh him out a little bit, make his face look a little more natural. Same with the rest of anything that will be exposed as far as skin's concerned. And maybe with that pose, we might make a little weapon for his hand. I don't know. But we are pretty much in the home stretch now. It's just touch-ups and finishes now. So I hit the doll with a natural buff color. I didn't like the color of the original baby doll. Plus, this will help with the next stage anyway. So I just gave it a quick coat. I was kind of haphazard in my paint. I don't mind if some of the original colors coming through, because, again, that'll help with the illusion, too. Now we're going to do some washes, which is one of my favorite but scariest processes. Just a couple drops of paint, some water, just dip it on there, let it sit for a second, and pat it off with a paper towel. And it should stain it just right. And I'm going to go for kind of a brown to make them grimy, some red to give it some kind of, life. Adding just a little bit of red to it will really help the illusion of skin. We do have pinks and reds underneath our skin, so that always helps with that, and I've had a lot of great results. And I may line the edge here with a little bit of red, and then it'll just be a matter of dressing them, and we'll be done. Here is the final product. I had so much fun building this. Let me spin them around a little bit. So yeah, I just did some washes, browns and reds. Made it look a little more irritated around where the skin was ripped up. Went a little heavy in some spots, but you know what? What can you do? But overall, I'm happy with them. The only other thing I did that you didn't see is I gave him a quick shot of the same clear I put on here. I ended up using the somewhat glossy. And I put his shorts on, and maybe I should cut the shorts down a little bit so you can see more of the robo legs. But I'm happy with that so far. The only thing I would have done differently is I would have painted around the eyeballs before putting the skull on there. That was such a pain in the ass to get to. And there's a little bit of paint on the actual eyeballs, but again, what can you do? So yeah, under $20 creepy baby doll build. I hope this constitutes a creepy baby doll, though I went a little sci-fi with it. And I have named him Robo Brat. So let's break down the cost here. Alright, so the doll itself was 50 cents at a yard sale. Okay? The skull is $2 worth of molding material of a $1 skull, and I am including the $1 skull even though it wasn't actually used, because it was something that was purchased that went into this build eventually. Then I used about 2 1/4 worth of resin. The milliput, I overestimated a buck. Because, I mean, you know, why not, right? Be a little fair about it. I really didn't use that much. I mean, I literally just used it around there, and whatever little I had left over, I put in the gaps between the legs, the doll's legs and the robot legs. So, really wasn't that much, but I'll overestimate it a buck. I used about 50 cents worth of hot glue, about half a stick or so if you need to know, and they're 4-inch sticks. Super glue, overestimating a quarter. It was $1 a tube. And paint, I went back and forth with. I used about $10 worth of paint bottles, or had $10 worth of paint bottles. I originally said $1.50. I wanted to overshoot it and say $2. I doubt I'll even use the $1.50, but why not, right? Let's make it an even $10 total. $10 to make this wicked rad, guys. So, guys, first of all, I want to thank everyone in the prop group, the Monster Tutorials Prop Challenge group. This really sparked my creativity. I've been in a lull, and I'm happy to join. And all the stuff that I've been seeing over there has been amazing work. So I hope this is worthy, guys. I really do. It looks like I have a touch-up spot I gotta do there. But I hope this is worthy, and go ahead and leave feedback, you know? Thumbs up, thumbs down, all feedback to the Creep is positive. Until next time, take care, creep it real.